Me reporting whatever the fuck I want.
You don't own me.
Whatever.
You should be scared.
It's tea time. Hello and welcome to TeaTV. I'm your host, Sara Holcomb, and today we have a fabulous comedian guest, Tyler Fowler.
Oh, stop it.
But first, we're going to check out another amazing Chicago resident right now. Today, we're at Malate Cafe in Logan Square, a Honduran-owned and operated coffee shop. Let's get the rest of the tea from the owner herself.
My name is Luz Marriaga, and I have been in Chicago for 30 years. I used to bring coffee from Honduras to sell coffee in Chicago. My family, they produce coffee in Honduras. I'm a businesswoman. Yes, I have the idea to open a cafe, and I start to bring coffee from there. My idea is to bring a little piece like my culture from Honduras. My coffee shop is colorful. I love art, and I love to help the community. Okay. The artists come, and I make a waiting list. I have different ones every 2 months, and I give the opportunity to sell the art here. And I love this community. I live around here. I receive a lot of support for the community too. I think it's a multicultural area, and I love that.
Wow, wasn't that great, Tyler?
Oh, it was.
Amazing, it made my day.
It was surprising, entertaining, and most importantly, heartfelt.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. All right, our next Chicago resident is coming up right about now.
I'm Steve Nystrom. I'm the lead singer of the thrash metal band Nystrodamus. I've been in many bands in the city for the last 15 years. This is my solo project now with my drummer Brian. Like just the metal scene in general, it looks like it's scary, it looks like it's intense, because it is, but it's a lot of fun. And most of the time when you come to a show, they really just want you to have a good time. They don't want to hurt you. They really want you just to have as much fun as they are. It was a genre that was never accepted very much by the media. It was always looked at as being the evil thing on earth that everybody should stay away from. And the people that went to go see them were just like me. I was like, I'm not an evil person. I just really like this music. And get a million people that listen to the same thing and think the same way, and you go, we're really not that bad, are we? But they call us bad. So I think that's why it became such a community, because we all like, if you listen to bands like the Scorpions and Judas Priest, they had intense songs, but then they had love songs, and it's like, hey, metalheads also have feelings too. This is the most unmetal thing to say. I'm not a big mosher myself. It literally just happens. When you feel like you want to go in, you go in. And that's, I feel like if I go to see like a Slayer concert, I know I'm in a great mood to go into a pit, even though it's one of the most intense mosh pits, because they're feeling more intense than I am. But I would say, more times than none, they are going to pick you up if you fall down. And the point is, it's like a band of brothers. It's a bond, it's an experience. They literally don't want to trample you. If you see that going on, more times the people that see them trampling the person coming into the pit, they get what's coming for them next. Honestly, I understand where metal can be, hard for every listener. It's not as scary as it may seem. I feel that, with our type of music, we try and hit every sort of audience. That there's a song from our band that can make you feel a certain way, instead of, feeling like, oh, it's too loud or it's too aggressive. But then you go to the next song, you go, oh, this is pretty laid back, I like it. Back when I was in my first band, my bass player at the time was, they're switching out bandmates and having a new singer for their band. And when they put me in there, the music was totally different. He's like, oh my God, it's like the Nystrodamus effect, and it's a play off of my last name from Nystrom to Nystrodamus, so it's stuck ever since. We are headlining over at the Cubby Bear on April 16th. It's our album release party. We were supposed to have it in January, but everybody got Omicron, and it was just had to cancel it. But thank you, Cubby, for having us back. And then we just are going to be announcing soon, in the next couple of days, we are opening for Wednesday 13 at the Forge on April 23rd. So can't make it there, can make it here. Because I don't want to be like every other band that says we're just a thrash band or we're just a, we're just a death metal band. I love all the genres. And I was saying like, oh, we could be, shrap metal. Like we're just an explosion of everything. Like, because we have a song called My Life Sucks More Than Yours, which is more of a punk oriented song. And then The Hole is very thrash. Our song Fire to the Sun's more doom metal. It'd be a shame to say, oh, I can't play that because I'm this genre. So I like to play how I feel, and if I'm in a mood to play a song that sounds like Exodus, I'm gonna play a song that sounds like Exodus. I don't want to narrow myself down. We have merch, and we actually won for you.
Oh, yeah.
These are our Nystrodamus only fandles.
Oh my gosh, it's amazing. Oh my gosh, wait, can you hold this up to the camera?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So, and that's another part I think I like to be a little different is we don't want to take ourselves serious to the point that like, oh, we can't make jokes, we can't, have a little bit of a comedic background. So we have comedy merch too.
That was so cool. You need to follow them for sure. But now we have someone else, right? Now we're at Pixie and the Boy, a boutique home goods and gift shop. Let's go in and talk to the owner.
Hi, I'm Trish Carnevale. I'm owner of Pixie and the Boy here in Logan Square. It's funny because when I rented this space, the real estate agent was asking me what it's going to be. I'm like, well, I'm going to have home goods, I'm going to have jewelry, I'm going to have accessories, I'm going to have gifts, I'm going to have art, and it's basically, so yeah, I would say it's eclectic gift shop. So it's a shop that you come in, you can get presents, gifts for people. You can also view some local artists. I have a rotating gallery. I try to switch it up every month, and I feature 2 to 3 artists per month, so that's great. We just switched up the art now. I try to have local makers in here as well. I'm a local maker myself. I make jewelry and cement work, resin work, candles, the whole 9 yards, and I try to get all of my friends, my maker friends that I've met over the years of doing it in the shop as well. They're all super talented, and they're all women. The name itself, it's kind of like a nod to my former life as a hairstylist, Pixie, plus I sort of pixie cut, I always will. And the Boy is the transition from being a hairstylist to having my son. So my son Max is the Boy and Pixie and the Boy. For art, I'm just doing local. I'm doing local gallery. I'm doing a local artist gallery, and that's just because I just really want to support my city, my neighborhood, And I don't know. There's something about having art in your home or in your store, or your shop, or where you work from local artists, and I don't know. I think that's cool, and I'm somewhat of a local artist, and I want to support my people. So yeah, but then the store, as far as makers are concerned, items that I sell in the store, it's both. I try to focus on Chicago, but that's not my thing. Wolfbait does that, and I love Wolfbait, and I would never try to just focus solely on Chicago because that's their niche. But for me, I try to get as many makers in as possible. It doesn't have to be from the Chicago area. I have people from Virginia, Tennessee, Florida, everywhere, and all over the United States, and I'm actually reaching into Europe, branching out into Europe as well now too. I'm waiting for a couple shipments. So yeah, I would say for now, I want to concentrate on local artists for my gallery, and then for the rest of the stuff that I do sell, a mixed bag. I love Logan Square. Not originally from here, originally from Toronto, but when we moved to Chicago about 13 years ago, we spent a year in Wicker Park just renting, and we found ourselves coming to Logan Square all the time to go out to dinner, mostly dinner. And then after that, when we were looking for a place to live, when our lease was up, we focused solely on Logan Square. Found a cute little house in Logan Square, and now we have a 9-year-old son who goes to school in Logan Square, and I couldn't think of another place where I'd want my shop. I mean, it's a 5-minute walk from my house. It's a 5-minute walk to my son's school, and I know so many people in this neighborhood, and I just love it. My colors are pink and teals. I do change the backdrop often. This is probably the 4th one I've had in the last 3 months. I want to be a go-to place for the neighborhood. I offer DIY classes as well. We're going to be doing our second one on Friday. And so yeah, I just want to be a place where you can come, hang out, look at the art, buy art, maybe attend a class, come chit chat with me. I'm here always. I'm the only one. But yeah, I just want to be a go-to neighborhood store. That's what I want to be. One of the big things that I wanted in a space was enough room to host events and classes. Because of COVID, I've been a little reluctant to start them, but I started my first class last month and it sold out literally within hours. I think people are really excited to get out there and start mingling again and start meeting new people and doing things again. We've been stuck inside for so long. So that first class, I did candle making, and my girlfriend, she did cookie decorating. She's a baker and a cookie decorator. And so that was fun. You know, you get a shopping discount when you come and, you know, have a glass of rosé or two. And so that was great. And then this Friday coming up, we're going to be doing a floral wreath class. So another friend of mine, another girlfriend of mine, she does dried flower bouquets and wreaths, and they're gorgeous. There's going to be 18 of us here next Friday, and we're going to be making floral wreaths and drinking a rosé again and shopping. Like I've said, I'm a maker, so everything on my website is just the stuff that I sell. That's handmade that I make. It's not everything in the store. So I don't really post classes there. If you want to follow me on Instagram, that's where you're going to find all the information. That's where I post classes. That's where I do giveaways. That's where I show you what's new in the shop. That's where I tell you about any kind of events that are going on within the store, like the artist gallery or a DIY class.
Definitely like and follow for sure. But now I'm really excited to introduce Tyler Fowler. He is our comedian guest for today. How are you, Tyler?
I'm great, never better.
Great. So Tyler, tell me, what made you get into comedy?
What made me get into comedy? I always was a fan of comedy. I always watched a lot of stand-up. And then I had a friend who was trying it, and I was like, sure, why not? The nice thing about comedy is like the bar is very low. You can always start. Anyone can do it. They don't stop you. So I tried it, and I liked it, and the rest is history. I couldn't stop. Kind of bit the bug right away.
Where did you start out first? Like, where did you learn how to do it?
I was doing improv classes at Second City, like everybody who now does stand-up.
Yeah,
you kind of start to, that's like the Chicago trajectory is like, oh, I started doing improv, and then I realized I should just do stand-up, and then I did that for much longer. So I did that, and then I did a stand-up class in Second City for a brief minute, and that just kind of got me into like the rhythm, like doing open mics, kind of knowing what the scene was like, and like what everything was, and then I just kind of took it and ran.
What do you like specifically about the Chicago comedy scene?
Chicago is great. I truly think Chicago is probably one of the best comedy scenes in the world. I was going to say country, but we'll take the whole world.
Yeah, for sure.
But there's so many opportunities in Chicago. There's so many shows. There's so many open mics. There's so many clubs. You can kind of run around. It's a very accessible city, like public transit and everything. Like you can get around and do so much. You can like make so much of the time that you have here because there's so many places to go and so much stuff to do.
Is there any adversity that you feel like you faced in the comedy scene at all?
Good question. The question probably is there any not adversity? Is anything about it easy? Comedy is like, it's so hard. It's like one of the hardest, because it's just like rejection all the time. That's what most of it is. Like when someone, especially when someone comes up to you after a show or something like, oh, that joke you do is really funny. It's like, great. That means there was most other stuff that I cut out wasn't funny. Like for one, every joke you have, it's like so much of like trying stuff at open mics, stuff not going well, stuff not working out. So it's like the hardest thing about comedy, I feel like, is just like staying in it, like convincing yourself like this is worth my time. It's very rewarding, very fun, but it's just like hard, and it's very like, this is like it's very much an emotional roller coaster of like the highs are really high, the lows are really low.
Yeah. What is your favorite crowd to be in front of? Is there a specific crowd?
That's a good question. Almost. I mean, a crowd that's like there on purpose, which seems
oh my gosh.
basic, but like that's the number of times you do shows where like, yeah, these people were just in this bar, and now we're gonna yell comedy at them.
Yeah.
But any crowd that's like any comedy club weekend audience is like, these are a room full of people who are here to have a great time. And it's like, it's kind of ours to lose at that point as comedians. Like they've kind of served it up to us like, we're all drinking, we're all here to have a great time. We are expecting comedy. Like all you have to do is tell us jokes and we're gonna have a great time.
Right. And I feel like the worst thing is when I've been in a lot of situations where I think it's going to be a good room because it's packed and it's sold out.
Yes.
And then they just stare at you the whole time.
Yeah.
And it's almost like entertain me.
Yeah,
I'm like, well, you need to calm down.
That's the worst. Yeah.
So that's weird. That's the worst for me, I think.
Yeah. When people are looking at you like, okay, prove it. Like you're a comedian, let's see. Okay.
It's like you are not drunk enough.
Right. And it's like, who hurt you? What's going on in your life that you go to a comedy show and like being like, okay, let me try to not have a good time.
Yeah.
That's the worst. If you see that where there's like a person in an audience, like even if a crowd where everyone's laughing, there's one person who's just like adamant to not have a good time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I want to be like, what? Is everything okay?
Yeah.
You need a hug more than anything.
Yeah. I picked on somebody one time like that though, and it scarred me for my life, so I'm not gonna do it again because they told me that their cat died, and I'm like, all right, cool. And then they were like, please don't talk to me anymore.
Fair enough.
And I'm like, cool, all right.
I'm gonna move on.
Yeah.
But also like, okay, if you're like, my cat's dead, maybe not sit in the front row at a comedy show. Maybe stay at home and cry. I don't know.
Yeah. Cry.
That person's probably watching. They're gonna write me. They're gonna be angry. Like,
they're probably not watching. To be honest.
Well, forget you then. Okay?
Yeah.
If your cat dies, don't go to a comedy show that day.
Yeah.
Go tomorrow. Cheer up.
Yeah.
Take a day.
What would you suggest to someone who wants to get into comedy?
I always say the best advice is just to do it. Like I said, like the barrier to open mics is none. You just have to show up, right? I think the best way to decide if it's like for you, if it's something you're interested in, is to just try it and do it. Like the first time you do it is like ripping a Band-Aid off. And then if you like it, you do it again. If you hate it, go on with your life and be happy.
Right.
Yeah.
Is there a specific technique that you have or a specific type of comedy? Like how would you describe your comedy, I think is a better question.
Yeah, that's a really good question. I always describe my comedy as I'm telling jokes. It's there's a setup and a punchline. That's it. I feel like in general,
pretty concise.
like, yeah, right. People are always like, oh, what's your comedy like? I'm like, yeah, I'm up there doing jokes. That's it.
Yeah.
But I just try and like, I lean towards being more like observational. A lot of it's like self-deprecating.
I've been a groomsman in 9 different weddings. Yeah, because I look great in the background of photos. It's my whole thing.
Anything that I can think of that I think of that I write, I'm like, oh, if people would probably laugh at that, that's in. It's like, that's the whole point. It's like I'm up here trying to make you guys laugh. So it's just like a series of jokes.
Nice.
Seems like a very simple answer. Now that every time I say it out loud, I'm like, what a dumb thing you just said.
I mean, it's an answer.
But it is like, oh, what's your stand-up? It's me doing stand-up. That's what it is. That's most of it. Yeah.
Basic, figure it out.
Yeah, right.
For me, my girlfriend from college, same as my diploma from college. They seemed like a huge deal at the time, and now I have no idea where they are.
Well, mine is weird.
That's a good way. Yeah, that's a good. See, I don't have that. I can't be like, mine is weird. Then they'd watch me and be like, no, it's not. Your idea of weird is frankly stupid. That's what people would say to me. So.
I talk about being an alien pet, all sorts of things.
Right. Yeah. I can't pull that off. I don't know.
I try to like shy away from like the sex stuff because I feel like people talk about sex stuff a lot, and
there's
I'm
a lot
not
of
about
that. Yeah. I was wondering that. Like, I watch a lot of comedy too, and it's like that is a thing people critique about comedy a lot, is that it's like a lot of people talking about sex and it's very dirty. But sex just must be so interesting to us as people, because there's something about it that we're like, whenever people talk about it, people are interested in it. There is a lot of funny comedy about dirty stuff, but I'm the same way. I try and like steer away from that because it's like that's so much of what other people are talking about. You know?
It's also easy.
Yeah.
Everyone's had that experience. You want to have alien abduction experiences.
Right.
No one knows what you're talking about.
You guys heard it first. Sarah thinks sex is easy. So,
it's supposed to be, I guess.
We can't all be perfect and everything. But now I want to interview him. Like, what tips would you give?
I mean, all right. Well, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. This was great.
I really appreciate it. So that was it for TeaTV. I'm your host, Sara Holcomb. Once again, this was Tyler Fowler, our comedian guest for today. Thank you so much for joining us. Like and subscribe to Tea Time with Sara Holcomb on YouTube. Also follow us on Tea Time TV on Instagram, and we'll be seeing you guys back here next time. Bye.